Hi, my name's Chris, Fruity Harris on Snellman, and I'm going to try and talk you through a game that I'm playing on Snellman as it happens. Um, this is a game from the Fire and Ice ladder, and it's game one on the ladder, so it should be lots of pretty strong players. I've played a few game one games, but I've never won one. Um, in this one I get to pick first. So let's have a look at what's going on. So I think there's a few key features I've picked out. So one is that it looks pretty good for econ factions. Because there's some quite nice, you can score a lot of points by just following um, the round scoring. Because you've got a nice progression: spade, trading post, temple, up to stronghold and sanctuary, and then you've got more trading posts and towns at the end. It's quite a nice progression. Look at the bonuses. You've got 3 of the scoring bonuses there. Second thing to notice is that it rewards late stronghold sanctuary building upgrading. There's no bond 6. You get stronghold sanctuary points in round 4. And then you probably won't build both in that round. And actually, it seems like the best time to build the second one is round 6, because they'll may well help you complete a town, either getting a 3 hex town with the sanctuary, or your stronghold will either increase the total number of power points, or and might also directly help you to get a town. So some of the stronghold special powers do. So. But the big thing on that is the stronghold sanctuary distance, which is the extra scoring tile, because I think it's my favourite one, because I think what generally happens is you sort of start building the middle to start with to get your neighbours, you expand out to the edge during the game, then you build stronghold and sanctuary. You want to delay that decision till quite near the end of where you're going to put them, so that you can get just far enough away such you best your opponents. So yeah, I think it's gonna benefit econ factions that get to build their big buildings quite late on. It's on Loon Lakes, which is a great map. Riverwalkers are particularly good on this map. And some other factions are a bit weaker. Dwarves and fakirs, I think, particularly. Then another thing to point out is that there's sort of a strong air cult presence. So you've got air cult in round 2 and round 4. And then you've got sort of coins for priests in round 3. So sending priests to the air cult is going to be a pretty big race. At first glance, it looks low on coins, and it's a little bit low on coins because you haven't got bond 2 and bond 3. You have got bond 1 and bond 9, and you've also got potential coins from the cults on rounds 1 and 3, and you've also got you've got incentives to build trading posts early in round 2. And again, you've got a trading post in rounds 5, and you've got the trading post scoring. So you won't necessarily be that low on coins. There is a lot of power going around, and you've got the priest tile there as well. So that's that will help with this. So that's where we are. Based on that, I chose engineers. Partly because I didn't think it looked that good for any of the green or red factions, although I was slightly at risk of which is being picked. Partly because they're an econ faction who like building stronghold and sanctuary quite late. Partly because they're good in low coin games. Mostly just because I haven't played them for a while. So I picked engineers. I didn't really know what to expect behind me. I thought nomads might come out. I wasn't entirely surprised by what ended up happening, which was that RA picked Fire faction, as they often do these days, in this case Dragon Lords. I'm interested to see how that plays out. There's no particular benefit to Dwelling Rush as the main downside, I'd say, to that. Also, I feel like I've played before where they've struggled to do well on distance, but we'll see. And alchemists, yeah, I love alchemists. They're statistically my best faction, but I wouldn't know how to play them here, so I'm really interested to see what Dingbat does with that. Will they build, in particular, will they build a stronghold early, or will they delay it to round 4? Cool. So my first dwelling placement, I didn't think that hard about. I just went for d4, and the reason I went for d4 was because my main consideration was avoiding being the target of Dragon Lord's aggression. Dragon Lords, the only way they're going to win is by taking hexes that other people want early. If I go d4, they picked red as their initial colour. If I go d4, they can't really hurt me that badly. They can go d3, but that's good for me. I'll get their leech, but they probably won't. I'll probably get e6 before they do, so that's fine. I kind of expected them to go d3, I expected nomads to go e4, and then I expected alchemists to go probably c4 and g7, and that was where I was wrong, because so I was right about Dragon Lords and nomads. Then alchemists actually went f3 and h5, which is really interesting, because there's a real fight now for nomads to connect through to the east. So you've got e5 likely to be taken by Dragon Lords on turn 1, and f4 likely to be taken by alchemists before nomads can build their stronghold and kind of sandstorm over f4. G2 also likely to be taken by alchemists before nomads can get there. So how are they going to get through? The most likely answer is they're going to end up building b5. That'd be my guess. They have, for the time being, gone e7, so they're going for that. They're assuming they can connect over to the east. I think they kind of had to do that. But they're taking e7 for the time being, probably trying to get neighbour on f6, or d7. Will we oblige? Let's find out. So yeah, the Dragon Lords went h2 next, by the way, and yeah, before I click next and show you what I did, Dragon Lords went h2, and I realised here that I had some problems, because I am looking at not having access to quite a lot of cheap mountain hexes, so e3 and g3 are going to be pretty tough to get to. f6 and c7 are very high on the list of likely sandstorms from nomads. I'm expecting them to get a stronghold in round 1, and I'm expecting them to take f6 as part of building a town over here, and I'll expect them to take c7 as soon as I try and get over there, just because it will stop me from getting distance. Nomads, by the way, are played by Ozymandias, who's very strong player, quite a very aggressive player, very good at just knowing what other players want to do and stopping them doing it. So I would fully expect Ozymandias to take c7. So that's my problem. My best, I probably want to get about my stronghold sanctuary distance up to 9 or 10 to be getting points from that, because I expect nomads to be able to get around that number, with maybe a sanctuary over here and a stronghold over maybe on f2 perhaps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that kind of distance, maybe 10. Dragon Lords on h2 and d3, I'd expect them to be able to get down to the southeast, and then possibly d3 down to there, 5, 6, 7, 8, yeah, maybe 8, maybe 9. Alchemists, I don't know. They could get really big distance if they delay building their stronghold. If they build a stronghold early, as I guess they might, then they might find they have to compromise on stronghold sanctuary distance. But I don't know. So that's, yeah, so if I'm going to try and compete on that, then I need to get probably to sort of 9 or 10. I don't know, but how I'm going to do that is going to be tricky. d4, if that's my sanctuary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Can I get my stronghold on I9? That's going to be tricky. If I somehow manage to get around the back and get to G3 or I5, that would be better. But it's going to be tough because I'm going to be building my temple in round 3 that I'm going to upgrade to my stronghold, my sanctuary, probably. So that's, yeah, I mean, I5 to B9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that's 9 again. It's going to be tough to compete on distance. Ultimately, I decided to go to build F6 with my second building. I'll just show you that now. So that's to get leech from potentially leech from nomads, and also to try and take G8 before alchemists do. So I'll be particularly interested to see what bonus tile alchemists take. The first to pick bonus tile. As I say, I expect nomads to take B5 next. I think alchemists, their first bonus tile is likely to be Bond 1 or Bond 4. I kind of hope it's Bond 4, because I don't think I want Bond 4. I'd be happy with Bond 1, Bond 5, Bond 8 or Bond 7 in a pinch. So one of those, there's 4 bonus tiles I'd be happy with, and Bond 4 isn't particularly one of them. So I'd quite happy for alchemists to take that. I don't really know how they're planning. It looks like they're setting up their strategy around getting to 3 shipping, maybe, or maybe to 2 shipping, and then with a bit of judicious digging on G2, G6, maybe C5. So I think I think if I were them, I'd be taking Bond 1, I think, getting H4 and F4 with Bond 1 and Act 5 on round 1, and then getting Bond 4 on round 2 or 3 to start expanding and getting a lot more dwellings. If they do that, it's likely that I'll beat them to G8, which would be good for me. But if they do take Bond 4, as I say, then I don't mind too much, because it means, firstly, that I will get leech from them, but also it means that I'll be more likely to get a bonus tile that I like when it comes down to me in Seat 1. So that's for the next sort of interesting decision I'm looking out for. And yeah, I will talk about my plans for round 1 once we've seen what bonus tile I'm getting. Okay, for those of you playing along at home, you might want to pause now and have a think about what you expect everyone to do at this stage. For the rest of you, I will tell you. So, nomads took B7, and then we had, on the bonus tiles, we had alchemists taking Bond 1, and we had nomads taking Bond 8, which is the priest. So yeah, they're obviously going to send us send to Earth, I assume. Then the next kind of surprise, I guess, was Dragon Lords taking Bond 9. I didn't see that coming, and it makes it pretty clear they're going to do a dwelling rush, which means a couple of things. Firstly, obviously, we're all now scared about which dwellings they're going to rush, which hexes they're going to take, but also it means that we can take Fav 11 at our leisure, because they probably won't take it at all. So the other interesting things about round 1 are, so I'm expecting to get Act 6, and I'm going to push hard for that. Nomads, will they take Stronghold and Act 3, or will they take Temple and Act 5? And I don't know, but I think probably Stronghold. Either way, will Alchemists get Act 5? Possibly not. Will anyone get Act 5? It would be weird if they didn't, but that's possible they won't. Because if Nomads upgrade E7, I don't really see where Alchemists are getting their leech for. I can only see them getting the leech if someone either builds F4 or H4, and in that case they run out of hexes they can actually even use Act 5 for. I don't think there's a big problem for them, because they can take X6. They'll pass first, and they'll take 1-4, and they will take they'll take Act 6, they'll advance ship, so they have 2 shipping, they'll take G6, G7, J8, D5, they'll dig G2, yeah, they're going to not have a problem expanding. So what does that mean for me? Well, I'm going to take out 6, as I say. It's tough choice which thing I'm going to upgrade. Oh, I'm going to take 1/5. I'm going to upgrade D4 or F6. I don't know which one I get me most leech. I think D4 is the kind of safe choice. I think probably in practice Nomad's going to upgrade E4 just for the leech. But if they're feeling aggressive, they might upgrade E7 just to stop Alchemist from being able to get out 5. We shall see. Okay, so this is going to be laughably wrong, but this is my prediction for the end of round 1, so we'll see how we get on. Okay, so what was I saying about predictability of this round? I was totally wrong. Yeah, a few things have happened to completely change the complexion of the game. So yeah, the first relatively small thing. So yeah, Nomads did upgrade on E4, which means that Alchemists will be able to get Act 5. Then the big one. So yeah, I took Act 6 as expected. And the big one is that Dragon Lord spent 2 power actions to dig the Black Hex on C4, which I didn't spot. And it's quite an expensive thing for Dragon Lords to do, but I think it's a really good move because it is a bad news for all 3 of their opponents, and I'll kind of explain why that is. So most obviously it's bad news for Nomads because so now they're not going to be able to break through to B5 and connect via the top. So like connection is in jeopardy, and they miss out on that yellow hex probably. And yeah, getting a good sanctuary stronghold distance is now a lot harder as well. They reacted to this. I assume it's a reaction to this, and they won't plan to do this otherwise by upgrading to a temple rather than a stronghold. And well, what's their plan now? I mean, it's not looking good for them in terms of connecting. As far as I can see, the best thing for them to do now will be to pass early, take Bond 4 and Act 6, and start to really just. I think they're going to need to take a lot of these hexes before, well, in particular, I can get to them. So that might be F5. Then you can get along to G4, maybe even connect later in the game, or G6 and H6. H6, you know, I might want to get, or Alchemist might want to get, so they need to get there first so they can get down and build another town down here and maybe get their distance going from B7 down to, you know, J7. Yeah, they're going to want to take D7, D8. So if they take Bond 4 and Act 6, then they can build 4 key hexes next turn, next round, potentially including H6, D7. So that's their new plan, and you know that looks okay for them. It's not as good as they might have hoped, but it looks okay. They've got 511. They'll get some points for building those dwellings. But that's bad news for me. I do not want them to do that because then I'm a little bit I'm in trouble. This town is out. I'm just gonna run out of hexes. I'm not gonna be able to get down here very easily necessarily. So yeah, so the interesting thing then is what do I do about that? How do I respond to that? And I've come to the conclusion the only thing I can do is try and do exactly that before the Nomads do. I take pass early for Bond 4 and Act 6. Passing early means foregoing the trading post on F6 and the dwelling on F7. So I still have 1 turn left when I can upgrade to D4 to a temple. That's not too expensive. It loses me a couple of coins, which I can afford right now. And actually, by postponing the trading post upgrade to next round, it gets me an extra 3 victory points. So that's not too bad. An early pass isn't too bad for me. However, the obvious favourite tile to get of Fav 7 or Fav 11 will lead to me not getting enough power to actually get Act 6. So I won't be so that won't really work very well for me. So I've actually been looking at Fav 8, and I was actually looking at it already, and generally the all of the blog posts on engineers told you not to get Fav 8 because you're going to get enough power from your second temple. But here there are some good arguments against that. Firstly, the temple, my second temple won't come to round 3, but also there won't be that much competition for power actions in this game, as it turns out. Um, Alchemists will be sending their power on Act 3 probably. They won't be getting that much power, apart from maybe they get the Stronghold in round 4. Dragon Lords after round 1 are just not going to have enough power tokens to get any of the power actions. So I actually feel like confident that I could actually use the extra power in a combination of Act 4 and Act 6. I also would really like those two cult steps on the air track. It's going to be a hotly competed track. We all start at 0, and I should be able to send my priest to air first on round 2. I reckon. Let's get up to 5 on the air track by the end of round 2, which will get me a spade there, or get me a couple of workers over here, and I hope I'll be in good position to actually win that air track. So I have actually decided to commit to that course of action, upgrade D4, get Fav 8, and then pass early for Bond 4 and Act 6. Which is, pretty interesting. And the knock-on effect for Alchemists isn't great either. They're not going to get Bond 4. They might get Bond 8, but even with that, it's going to be hard for them to get enough power either to get a spade action on, say, G6, or to get a third priest, so they can advance and get D5, C2, I3. It's going to be tough for them. They also don't have that black hex. They can't reach that black hex now. So I think this is turned out pretty badly for them too. And in fact, I'm probably I think I might be most worried about them. I don't know. There's a lot more to go here. What I'm actually most scared about for my own personal, from engineers' point of view, is that we're directly fighting with nomads, and that's never good, and it's particularly not good when nomads are being managed by Ozymandias, who has generally managed to outmaneuver me in pretty much all the games I've played with him. So I'm not looking forward to that in this game, but we'll see how I do. Well played to Dragon Lords. I can see still not sure how Dragon Lords are going to win from here. I think they're going to struggle still to get the distance that they need, and just the points that they need without Fav 11. I guess they might get Fav 11 in round 3. Anyway, this has turned out to be pretty interesting. So please do watch this space. Right, so looking at the rest of round 1, a couple of things happened that I was hoping wouldn't happen. One I predicted, and the other I didn't. I passed early as planned. Nomads took Act 3 and Act 1 to grab F5 before I could get there on my first turn next round, which I hoped wouldn't happen, but I thought it might do, and it's not. It hurts my town, so town prospects around here, so that is a shame, but at least it means that I am definitely going to be able to get Act 6 in round 2. What I didn't spot was Dragon Lords were going to use their kind of final power action of the first half of the game to take Act 2 rather than Act 4, and send Priest to air, which again another move from the Dragon Lords that I hadn't spotted, but I think is a really good one. As I say, the air track is going to be hotly contested, and for them to get up there, it's good. It's good for them, and bad for me because I was hoping to send my priest there for 3 cult steps next round as well. So didn't get everything I wanted for my early pass, but still not particularly regretting it. And this is the situation at the beginning of round 2. So I've got some interesting decisions to make. Quick look at what everyone else is going to do. So Dragon Lords have got a pretty clear plan. There wouldn't be much point in them sending a priest to air unless they're going to get up to at least a 4th cult step. They're not going to do that through priests, so they're going to clearly have to do that through. And I don't think they're going to do it. It would be crazy if they do it through temple. So they're clearly going for town 6 this round, which they will get. They'll upgrade 3 trading posts around here, giving me between 4 and 7 leech, probably 4, and they will build another dwelling, probably with their final worker down here somewhere. Get lots of nice power from cycling their coins from cycling their power around, and still end with 1 power or 2 power by round 3. So they're in a good position there. Alchemists not so happy. They are unlikely to get a power action. A spade action. So by the time they get enough power, if they even do, they're not looking that good for getting any leech really. At least Act 6 will have been taken. They might just about get Act 5 onto G6. And if they do that, then if they can, then they will. But if they can't, I expect they probably will hard dig onto G6 and build G7 anyway. So yeah, they can beat Nomads to G6, and I think they will make sure that they do. They're really short on town locations at the moment. Nomads, on the other hand, yeah, they're not sure what they're going to do. They've taken the spade. They'll probably get 2 dwellings and a trading post this round. Exactly where, I'm not sure. Their D7's probably a good one. They'll probably have to advance ship to get a second dwelling, but they might do that, or they might try and get Act 5, beat Alchemist to Act 5. I'm not sure, but still the case. So I mean, I am basically fighting Nomads for a bunch of position. I'm also fighting Alchemists for G8, which is pretty key to both of us. So whatever I do, it's going to have to involve building a dwelling on F7, I think, this round. And I'm going to still going to send a priest to air for that spade, turn that green, and hopefully that'll be enough for me to beat Alchemists to it overall. Yeah, I think there's 2 broad strategies for me here, which I do need to decide which one I'm doing on this turn, pretty much. One is to take D7 now with Act 5. Then I'm going to be getting a town up here. I should also hopefully get a town down here. That's my 2 towns. And yeah, possibly Nomads might end up getting G4 and coming around here. Or they might come down here and they'll probably get a town down here as well. But I think there's a decent chance that Nomads won't break through to the west, or will do quite late, and so we'll be fighting in this like eastern half of the board, me and Nomads for a good few rounds, and that doesn't seem fun. Yeah, that also isn't great for my Stronghold Sanctuary distance. I'm unlikely to get a town around here now, although I haven't given up entirely. So that means putting my Sanctuary here is a bit crazy. So yeah, I don't know where how I'm going to sort of get much distance between the 2, unless I can come around the back here. But again, it's not a given at all. Yeah. Whereas, yeah, Nomads will probably get a Sanctuary up here and a Stronghold down here somewhere. They'll get a decent distance. Alchemists can be building both theirs quite late, so we'll probably get good distance. Dragon Lords, don't know. My other option is to do Act6 on G4 and come around here, which I like a lot better because I think G3 and E3 are fairly safe until round 4. I don't actually need to kind of build these until round 4, but it gives me access to these two grey hexes and this one ultimately. Again, yeah, I think G5 again is fully fairly safe till round 4. C7 I might or might not end up getting, but yeah, it just leaves the grey hexes sort of sitting there, hopefully waiting for me for a couple of rounds, because kind of from a sort of engine building perspective, engineers, the best thing to do is going to be to stay on roughly 2 dwellings for a few more rounds and build up on trading posts and temples, particularly given the round scoring, and I can potentially still get a 511 on round 3. So I think that just fits better, and I'm getting workers from here as well. So I think that fits better from an engine building perspective, just to sort of sit on G4 um, and come up here to G3 and E3 later in the game. I'll probably end up building a town here, E3 to G1, and a town here, F6 to H7, and actually the opportunity to get really big distance if I want to invest in it from Stronghold to Sanctuary, which I'm not sure that either of them I will build in round 4. I think I'll probably spend round 4 just expanding and get them both in round 6 to help with getting towns. There's potential that I could get a squeeze out a third town, B3 to D2. I think that's optimistic. So all that means that I want to get Act 6, which I can't get right now. So I need to wait for a bit more power. In the meantime, I'll be giving Nomads a chance to sort of take first refusal on D7, which I'm not sure if they'll take or not. But so the first thing I'll do is just send that priest to air. I could now take Act 6, but hopefully I'll be able to get a bit more power from Dragon Lords before I need to. My next turn will probably be building F7. Then beyond that, G4, and then maybe a couple of trading posts. But we'll see how it goes and how much leech I get. I should get quite a fair bit of leech, so there might be a bit more play in this round to come. And yeah, maybe I'll even be able to get Bon 1 once Nomads have passed. Let's see. Okay, well the great thing about recording this video is that you can really pinpoint the exact moment when round 1 optimism turns into round 2 just despair as you realise various impediments to your grand plan. So yeah, this passage of play, 3 things happened. So 2 just realisations and 1 action that I wasn't expecting. We'll start with the action. So what I did expect was that Alchemists and Nomads would both advance shipping, but then Alchemists would beat Nomads to G6 with a hard dig. What I didn't expect was that Nomads would use Bon 1 to and add a hard dig to it to take G5, which has a few implications. Well, first, it's a grey hex that I was hoping to get at some point, so that's a shame for me. It also, it gives Alchemists some leech, so they will probably be able to get Act 5 later in the round. And obviously it brings Nomads a bit closer to G4, but I can beat them to G4 if I want to. And in fact, they're out of workers, so taking G4, well, they can't currently take G4, in fact, but they will as soon as they get leech, which will be next turn. But it'll be expensive. So that's one thing. Put a pin in that for a second. But I think I had 2 other realizations. One is that Dragon Lords are going to beat me to 511 on round 3. I had thought, because they'd done a dwelling rush, that they wouldn't want 511, but in actual fact I hadn't put 2 and 2 together with the fact they're obviously going to upgrade to 3 trading posts this turn, so Fab 11 will be a good shout for them, and there's no reason for them not to get it turn 1 on round 3, and they'll pass before me, unless I do another early pass. So yeah, so it's going to cost me a fair bit to get Fab 11. I'll either have to take a temple this round rather than next round, which is painful, or I have to pass early, which again is likely to be painful. So there's that. And then the other realization is just how important G3 is to the alchemists. Assuming someone takes G4, they they're really short of places where they can build a town. Like here is really painful. Here would be good unless I take G8 from them, which I'm planning to. So it suddenly looks like the chance of me getting G8 and G3 is fairly slim, because I feel like alchemists won't let me get both of those. So adding all these realizations together, I've got a couple of options really. I think looking at the Fab 11 question, there's no dwelling scoring here. So one option for me is to follow the round scoring bit further, bit closer, and build high rather than wide, and not take Fab 11, take Fab 10 instead. And so under that plan, I'm actually probably better off going to taking D7 this round, getting a town up here, I should be able to getting a town down here, making sure I get G8, and maybe a town over here, could possibly get 3 towns, or maybe down here, both of which are unlikely but not impossible. I won't do very well at the network scoring, but I will still be in with a shout for distance scoring, the big building distance. So that is a bit of a pivot I consider at this point. Nomads. The other good thing about that, I guess, is that then Nomads and Alchemists are the ones fighting over here, because they're both going to want. Well, Nomads going to want G2 or G3 to connect, or like I2, but Alchemists kind of want all those three. So there's a fight going on there between them. So it's always good when your opponents are fighting. But let's just take a moment to sort of realise the full genius of Dragon Lords coming up and attacking and taking B6, because that's really been the cause of all of this fighting between the other 3 factions. Alchemists and Nomads have both hard dug already. I've had hexes stolen from me. Alchemists had hexes stolen from them. It's not good for any of us right now, and I think actually they are now in pole position to win. Even though it didn't look like a great setup for them, so fair play. I guess I did look at the alternative of like coming into G4, hard digging, using Act6 on G4 and G3, and like continuing with that plan. I'm worried that it results in Alchemists taking G8, Nomads taking H6, and ultimately I7, and basically, and me not necessarily getting E3 or G3, or if I do, then it's going to be costly. But still, actually, just not having any towns in the east, and needing to find somehow squeeze out a town up here to get a second town. I mean, it's suddenly, it doesn't look great. It doesn't fit with the round scoring. And I don't necessarily score. I don't score for any of the dwellings, but I'm not getting Fab 11. So I kind of have decided to pivot at this point. But I delayed that decision. So for the first thing I did was just to upgrade a trading post, and the reason for that, I wanted to give Nomads pause for thought. So if I just don't take G4 now, then they can safely pass, knowing that they can get G4 next turn. If I take Act 6 right now and build D7, then they can just pass and take G4 next round when workers are very cheap for them. At the moment, workers are quite expensive for them, especially because they're going to be coin limited. So let's have a look what that means. I upgrade F6. And then we see Nomads do take burn 3 power to take G4. by converting 3 power to a worker. It's very expensive for them, given that they're going to be short of coins. So that's what Nomads did, and then I took D7 and I put one spade on G8 and just crossed my fingers that Alchemists didn't try and fight that. I didn't think they would, and luckily I was right about that. Yes, in fact, what happened next was that Nomads passed for, so Alchemist passed for Bond 10, so they're going to get Act 6 next turn, presumably. But by then G8 will be grey, and hopefully they won't want it. And then Nomads passed for Bond 9, which got them the coins, and we'll also get them some points, so that's good for them. Dragon Lords will pass before me, and then I can start thinking about what round 3 looks like and what I can save from this disaster of a game. I feel like I'm fighting with Nomads and Alchemists. I think we're all going to get mediocre score and probably be fighting for second place. But let's see. So Dragon Lords passed early and took Bond 1, which I was expecting. I was expecting Bond 4. Yeah. It's interesting to me. I'm not actually sure whether they're even planning to get their stronghold or not. And looking at where they ended up building their temples this round, it's up. They actually built up here, which I'll show you in a second. But it's not clear. Maybe they're not even. Maybe they're sort of giving up the fight for the stronghold sanctuary distance. It's not sure. I passed for Bon 8. I wasn't really sure what to go for, but I thought Bon 8 gave me the most flexibility, and sending priests to the cult tracks this round would be good for points, for coins, but also to try and steal some cults from the Dragon Lords. Just trying to kind of take points from them, because I think they're winning, and I might as well keep trying to overtake them. So the next thing that surprised me in this round was the Alchemists used Act 6 to take H6, which I guess I wasn't really expecting. I guess this kind of makes sense. So they're taking a town there. They're kind of letting Nomads have F2 and G2, which Nomads do indeed take the rest of this round. It's interesting for me. I now am wondering about whether or not I can get a town down here. It's possible that Nomads won't particularly be interested in C5, in the sense that they've got town options here, and maybe here. So we'll have to see where Nomads put their next temple. And towards the end of the round, I was the last one to pass. I managed to get Act 4, and I built 2 temples. So the first thing is the favourite tokens tiles I got were FAF10 and then FAF6, and I even then right at the end I took an extra priest and sent that to the cults as well. So I'm really starting to lead these 2 cults, trying to beat the Dragon Lords there. But yes, as we can see, Nomads have gone over here. Alchemists are looking at a town there. There's maybe room for the 1 or 2 people are going to get towns down in the southeast, and I think if Dragon Lords and Alchemists can both kind of beat me down here, if Alchemists beat me down here, then actually I can play quite nicely with them. If Alchemists take it, but there's only room for one of those 2. So if Dragon Lords get down here first, then there's not much for me down there. Certainly not a town. However, I reckon Alchemist will just beat Dragon Lords. I think Dragon Lords will go for the safe option up here, B4 to B2 with C3 as well. That's where they're going to get their 3rd town. And then Alchemist will get 1 here, and maybe 1 here as well. And I think they'll get their stronghold there. So that's they're going to have quite a long stronghold sanctuary distance. Nomads might also have quite a long one. I'm going to have a medium one, but I think, I don't actually see how Dragon Lords are going to get a particularly good one. They're not going to build another temple, I'm pretty sure of that. Remember, Dragon Lords just always run out of workers. So their sanctuary would have very little benefit to them. their stronghold. They may not even need their stronghold if they can get up the water track for spades. Um, so they might be better off trying to get 15 network or so using getting spades from other routes. Um, so yes, I'm not worrying that much about my own stronghold sanctuary distance at the moment. I'm definitely not going to build either of them in round 4. I don't have enough workers myself either. But I'm going to expand out a bit. Going to take I8, G8, H7, I8, I7, hopefully. Um, and that should do me, I think. Um, and then I will maybe, yeah, I should get one of Bond 10 or Bond 9 or Bond 7 to score some points in round 5 as well. So going into round 4, this is the situation. And I kind of realised a little bit late maybe that I was going to struggle to get a scoring bond at the end of this round, or I might have to pass early to do that. And I ended up kind of rushing my actions, kind of doing the most important action first and the next most important, so I'd always be ready to kind of get a scoring bonus if one came up. So I made a couple of kind of maybe tactical errors in that. So yeah, the first bit of bad news for me was that alchemists didn't decide to take a town in the southeast. They instead prioritized getting their sanctuary on F3, which will get them to get them bond 10, FAV 10. Then and that meant that Dragon Lords were able to get over here at their leisure, but it's still quicker than me. So yeah, a few other things happened. Next interesting thing that happened was that Nomads did yet another hard dig. So we can sort of start seeing where the towns are going to be formed. Nomads here, Alchemist here, another one Alchemist here. I think equally surprising was Alchemist then uses Act 6. They still haven't either got their stronghold or advanced digging, and we're well into round 4. And eventually so I ended up sort of panicking and using Bond 1 on C6, which halves my options for building another town around Sanctuary on D4, because I can no longer dig D5, I have to dig C5. But the good news was ultimate. In the end, I didn't need to rush all those actions because I was going to end up passing last and getting Bond 9. Bond 9's interesting because it makes me a lot more flexible next turn. I don't have to build all my trading posts if I don't want to. So we can start seeing what's happening here. As I say, towns for alchemists here, here, and here, but probably not down here. Third town for Dragon Lords down here. Nomad's going to build down here and here. I'm guessing that they're going to put their sanctuary there and their stronghold there, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, compared to 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Both of those are going to beat me and the Dragon Lords, I'd have thought. Dragon Lords, if they do it at all, which to be honest I kind of doubt they will, but it's going to be like 8. So yeah, I probably should do it, but I may just end up getting them right next to each other, D4 or D6 or something, and getting 6 points from that. So yeah, I think I still should go for 3 towns, but I will also try and beat Dragon Lords on the cults and also on network while scoring some points from bonuses as well. So yeah, where are we? This is the situation now, so I end up building I8 and I7, taking Bond 9, and beginning of round 5, Nomad's built a bridge, and that's when Alchemist then used Act 6 to dig over here. So they're in round 5. They have finally got their stronghold. They still haven't advanced digging. And I think it's going to be time for me, before I take my next go, to start planning out to the end and seeing who I think I can beat and how. So, I did the calculations and I concluded this is actually going to be a very tight game, with everyone being pretty close. But actually, it looks like the difference between me maybe winning and me maybe coming fourth is whether I can get this third town um, up here. And so yeah, sort of I'm going to base the rest of my strategy off doing that while making sure I score enough points this turn. When to remind you, I've got bond 9 and Fav 10, so I'm scoring a lot of points for every trading post, but also points for dwellings. So how to get this town up here? Well, it's basically comes down to using the 2 spades I get at the end of this turn to turn round to turn c5 red, and then using my first turn of round 6 to dig 1 and build on c5. And then I can get my sanctuary on d4 and my stronghold pretty much anywhere. It looks like, so I don't think Dragon Lords are going to bother getting there. Are going to be able to get their stronghold and their sanctuary, and I'm not going to be able to compete with the other 2 on distance. So at first, I thought that this involved me having to pass first, so that at least before nomads and dragon lords who would be able to take c5 from me, between me using the spades and then actually building it. But when I looked into it more, that actually looked like quite an expensive thing to have to do. I wouldn't be able to get either the points or the resources that I needed from this round to achieve the rest of my objectives. So I decided to take the risk, to not necessarily pass first and hope that no one takes c5 from me after I've done my digging. And I felt like that was an option because it's such a tight game. So anyone, it'd actually be quite relatively expensive for them to take it, and that might end up with they might lose me some points, but they'll lose them just as many points, and that they might end up dropping 1 or 2 places because of it. A few other risks I was taking. Well, I wanted Act 4, but there wasn't much point in me taking it before by burning power. It didn't really end up gaining me anything. So I just kind of gambled that it would still be there in a couple of rounds, and it was. So that was nice. So I managed to get Act 4, and I managed to upgrade some trading posts, and surprisingly, I ended up having a bite at a scoring bonus tile, because Nomads and Alchemists both passed, and yeah, so and having both had scoring bonus tiles in that round, and then Dragon Lords didn't pass straight away. So Bond 10 is just sitting there tantalisingly. Dragon Lords are clearly going to pass next turn. But it's not obvious they're going to take that. They're not going to be able to use the power they get from it, and I don't know, they'll get some points from it, but maybe do they need the resources more? Well, I could still get a fair few more points this round from upgrading another trading post and building another dwelling. And I thought, and Dragon Lords, wouldn't get bond 9. So if I didn't pass, so that's a good thing. That's a good reason not to pass too. So I didn't pass. They did pass and took bond 10. That's okay, because and this is another thing I was like crossed my fingers on, that maybe Nomads, when they passed, wouldn't take bond 1, and they didn't, so I managed to get it. And I did go ahead with a quite scary plan of double digging c5, and it's just sitting there waiting to be taken from Nomads, who could take it easily with Act 5, for instance, or Dragon Lords, who could also take it pretty relatively easily, although they've only got 2 power tokens left. So it's a bit scary. And within a minute, Nomad's taken their turn, so that's one. I'm halfway to feeling comfortable because they decided to take Act 4 as I thought they would, because I think they need Act 4, and they need all their workers. But I'm now sitting here. I have a sort of frightening sort of wait to see what Dragon Lords decide to do. Will they use their last 2 power tokens to take J7 and get a town here, or will they use one to take C5 and then maybe somehow be able to forward a stronghold and take J7, or just not take the town, not get a third town at all, or somehow manage to get a sanctuary? I just don't think they've got the resources, so I think, touch wood, they'll let me take C5. But let's find out next time.
So the good news is Dragon Lords didn't take C5. 2 bits of bad news though. First, Alchemist took Act 6, which is surprising. So yeah, they're actually going to go the whole game without advancing digging, which I didn't really expect. What Dragon Lords did do is take 5/5, and Alchemists and Nomads also want 5/5, and so do I. So this is probably my last chance to take it. But that would leave C5 vulnerable for another turn. And what it boils down to is that if I take C5 now, it hurts Alchemists. It's a good thing. It really hurts them. But it gives Dragon Lords the opportunity to overtake me and possibly take second ahead of me and Alchemists. So by being mean and taking C5, so I think, and they'll still just about scrape a third town. Whereas if and I will come fourth, or third or fourth. If I instead take C5 now, I let Nomads and Alchemists get 5/5. At that point, Alchemists will win. But I'll probably come second ahead of Dragon Lords. So that's what I'm going to have to do. I don't see a way for me to win from here. So I just take 5/5 and go for second place. And that is indeed what happens. I end up, we go to the end of the game. Yeah, pretty close. I do manage to beat Dragon Lords, and I get pretty close to Alchemists, but ultimately, yeah, they're just too strong. So yeah, pretty interesting game all around. Yeah, you'll notice that I ended up building my stronghold very close to my sanctuary, so there were a few interesting things still to do in round 6. Just in terms of timing, just like doing things in the right order. So I actually I didn't get 5/5, so I had to use a bridge here, but then I could get my stronghold here and my sanctuary there to get the 3 towns. I got points from sanctuary. I actually ended up getting building up, not out, so I got 5/12 and 5/6. Ended up getting back to 3 temples. And I think my final points were from upgrading another trading post, so I ended up with only 4 dwellings and all the big buildings. Yeah, so pretty close overall the game. Really interesting game, I thought. I think I was right to attack Dragon Lords. I think they possibly were winning, although but also they were the ones I maybe could attack and just beat them. So I attacked them through the cults as much as anything else. I think maybe I overestimated earlier in the game how much the Dragon Lords taking B6 have a knock-on effect on Alchemists and to a lesser extent on me. And Nomads did respond by quite aggressively taking some hexes over here, which didn't help me. But they were ultimately able to play nicely with Alchemists over here. but they did, yeah, all their hard digging was too much, left them too far behind. Alchemist, I still don't really, yeah, I think they just managed to steer clear of it. I think the clever move, it's a clever move to take h6, for instance, just to be sure, just to carve out these 3 towns, and like they had to stay strong on just leaving it quite late to take g3. So that was nice, and they got decent distance with j8 over here. So yeah, well played to the Alchemists. I think it was really well navigated. I think Dragon Lords, yeah, that was a really nice move up front. But I think I never really fancied them from the start with the Stronghold Sanctuary distance, and that turned out to actually end up counting against them. But yeah, they were very close to winning. It's a very difficult faction to win with, so I think they played it pretty well. And I'm very happy with my second place. So this is my probably my joint best performance on the ladder. Second place in game one. I think it was pretty hard fought against pretty aggressive play from Nomads in particular. So yeah, I am pretty happy with how it went, and I hope you enjoyed this video.